Great intro. Great intro.
I wonder why it's still playing.
Those are some handsome guys.
Great intro. Great intro.
I wonder why it's still playing. You're gonna have to mute that.
Okay. This one?
I wonder why it's still playing.
What am I muting?
You're gonna have to mute that.
Okay. This one?
Okay.
What am I muting?
I'm not sure. Could you just mute you for a second? Let's see if I don't think I can do it. Can I do it? Okay, I'm muting you for just a second so we can get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm so excited you're here. Tonight, we have two amazing guests from season 15 of The Biggest Loser. Many of you may know that that's the season that ultimately took the show down. We're going to deep dive into their experience, what it was like to be on that controversial season, their thoughts about everything that happened, and what life has been like since the show. If you have any questions for them, please put a QQQ or a question in front of your comment so we can easily get it to them as time allows. If you really want to get your question to them, though, promise I'll absolutely get it. If you use that super chat button, not only will I get it to them, but it also helps support this channel and keeps it growing to keep giving alumni a platform to tell their stories. Well, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Adrian. I was on season 3 of The Biggest Loser. Since the show, I've struggled with my weight. I've struggled with my health. I've tried everything from running and restricting half marathons to eating nothing but sardines and walking 12 miles in the sun to gastric bypass. And ultimately for me, I like a whole foods diet, meat heavy, combining with a GLP-1 and some gentle movement. Tonight's episode, let's get into it. We're going to start with introductions. Hopefully David doesn't have the background sound, and we're going to go ahead and start with him. I unmuted you.
All right, we're going to try. Do I have any echo? Hello, my name's David Brown, season 15, runner-up. Yes, we're the season that proverbially killed the show, so you guys can thank us for that. That's awesome. My buddy Matt down there, I'll let him introduce himself. But yeah, glad to be with you guys. Thanks for having us.
Season Matt 15 as well. I just said season Matt. Matt season 15 as well. I really have no claim to fame on the show. I was saved by Bob, so that was exciting. But yeah, we were front and center for the caffeine pill situation. We were on stage during the finale, so it was a wild time.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, could you all do me a huge favor and hit the like, the subscribe, and share it with your whole entire family and everyone you know? That'll help continue to grow this so we can continue to have people share their experiences. Also, I want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by radicallyhealthy.com, where we are combining lifestyle with things like a GLP-1. We have a free community, a private community. Hope to see you there. Okay, so let's get started with the deep questions. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the previous episodes, but it's been pretty crazy. We've seen some crazy stuff. We've learned some crazy stuff. I'd like to know, and I'm going to start with David, what was the most surprising thing to you when you arrived on set and when you guys were filming that you just thought, this, what?
I'll tell you the one that it still sticks with me because it affected me so greatly was when I had watched the show previously. Everybody talks about that first workout being just like, you see what they do on screen. The trainers are like yelling at you and you're going to get kicked out of the gym and people throw up and like all the madness, right? And I thought, man, some of that has to be for TV, right? That can't be, because you're bringing all of these super obese, sedentary people who are living on the couch and eating, the stuff they shouldn't eat. And then you bring them to this situation and surely they ramp you up. That is the furthest thing from the truth. I feel like they were trying to kill us in the first workout and they didn't actually, but man, I felt like it. I don't know, my roommate at the time, Hap, he and I had a discussion that night. I was dying. We did the cold plunge. We did I was trying to recover. And I remember the first night in the middle of the night, laying on my bed, having to go to the bathroom, but I could not get out of bed because my body hurt so bad. I thought I was going to have an accident before the morning. That was the reality wake up for me.
How about you, Matt?
So I laugh at that, right? Because I remember, like, I couldn't even go down the stairs to the kitchen. I would say the most surprising thing for me, and I don't want to like copy what other people have said, but I think what was surprising for me was I had watched the show, right? I'd been a fan from like season 2 to season 9. Like I knew the show, and I would see these clips, and I think the biggest surprise to me was you see this 45-second clip of these people working out and really killing it. But then you see them kind of failing, right? Oh, I miss home and I can't do another push up and all that. What I didn't understand is that's a 4-hour workout, right? So you're seeing someone who can't do a push up, and Jillian's like, you can do one more push up, you can do one more push up. And fans at home are like, this person's a pussy or whatever. Sorry. This person's a wimp. And no. That person's been working out for 3.5 hours. So I think I understood what I was getting into, but I didn't know. Like, there's long workouts. I just didn't expect that. And the other part was a big surprise, is I thought that the trainers were going to be there like every day. But the truth is, we saw Bob and Jillian and Dolvette 2 days a week, and 7 days a week we had the sub trainers, the people that weren't on camera. And we might get into this a little bit, but for me, those guys, I look at those guys as my trainers. I think Bob and Jillian, but not knowing that there's other trainers every day with you, that was really mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
Did you guys have like a chef on site? Did you have a nutritionist? Did you have some people had reported that they could call the therapist anytime they wanted. None of that was on season 3. We didn't have dark trainers. Did you guys have any other support?
So I will say this. We were in season 15. So the show was really evolved by the time it got to us. So if you wanted to talk to Dr. Hogan, or who was the psychologist, or if you wanted to talk to Cheryl, the nutritionist, it was a phone call away. But nobody called. Like, you're not going to call unless something's going on. But there were no chefs. It's a reality show, and it's a competition show. So they can't make food for me, and they can't make food for David because it's $250,000 on the line. So you are on your own. You're either eating squash and zucchini, or you're eating steak. It's all up to you. No chefs.
Take it away, David.
Chefs
you're back.
Great.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I would have loved that.
For a sec, Matt.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Chefs would have been great. We did have a couple of people on the show, contestants, that would cook for a lot of people, like that had some cooking experience. So we had some people that knew how to cook, but like, these are not the foods that you chef up, the foods that you're able to eat on this show. So it's like, you're not really able to chef up lean meats and asparagus, which you have like 3 times a day. Right. So it's learning how to cook to what you would eat was part of the experience, and part of what we needed to learn for portion control, and what we needed to learn for how do we gain flavor when it's not the stuff that has all of the preservatives and flavor additives that the rest of the food that we normally would have eaten. And so we're all kind of, how do we train our palate? The whole training of the palate in the beginning was so hard because we all had these, sweet cravings or carb cravings or any of that kind of stuff that we fully bring to the table. And none of that is available in the Biggest Loser kitchen. And so you have to kind of retrain yourself. How do I do this? And so the nutritionist did step in and say, here's a list of things you should be eating. And so we kind of took turns just kind of picking and choosing, like, okay, I'm going to pick this thing and this thing and this thing and see what we can make of it. And so, yeah, it's a big education on the backside. And I'll echo what Maddie said about the trainers. Yeah, that was a big surprise that, they were the camera stuff only happens 2 or 3 days a week. And so you don't see the personality trainers a lot. You see the behind the scenes trainers, the sub trainers, and we become really close with them, and they become really invested in your success. And they did more coaching than anybody.
Oh, did they do the dishes for you? Because our dishes were nasty. They were stacked to the ceiling and no one would touch them.
That's a problem when you live with 15 people and
Yeah.
we live with 9 and 10 and 8. There was always 1 or 2 people who would never do their own dishes. And you go from living in your own home to being in control of your dishes to now you go downstairs and you want to make something and it's in the sink. But I love that you brought that up because that's something people don't think about. You live with 15 people. Some of them have never washed a dish in their life.
Nope.
So it's a social experiment. I always say it's just like Big Brother. We're just on treadmills for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But there's the same frustrations. Who ate this? Who ate that? Who didn't flush? Like those things, those things really add up, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure. And we're all hurting and we're all hangry at the same time, 24/7.
You take, how you are hangry, but you take 15 people who have just burnt 6,000 calories and they're eating 800. You don't know hangry until you've been there.
So who told you how much to eat and how much were you told to eat?
Dave, you want to go for it?
You want me to go first, Maddie? I'll go. I don't mind. I'll tell you what. Here's the reality. We were given a number from the nutritionist. We were given a number from Dr. Huizinga, and we were given another number by our trainers. And then we were given the information to make that choice ourselves. And so there was this underlying peer pressure. If you want to stick around, you're going to do what you have to do. Was never said outright. It was never told to you, if you don't do this, you're going home. But it was, you've got 2 different people have 2 different agendas. And so you got the doctors who care about your health more than anything. That's what they're on the show to help and protect. And they have an idea of what that healthy looks like. And then you've got a trainer who wants to win the show with you on their team because it means big deal for them at the end. Let's be frank. Let's be honest. It's a big cash cow for the celebrity trainers. And so sometimes they want you to do things that the doctor doesn't. And so you, as the person in the middle, have to hear both sides and then decide, what am I willing to do to make to the end?
I agree with that. So I still have the paper Huizinga gave me. My calories assigned were 1785, and they broke it up where my breakfast should be 325, my snack should be 150, and they broke it up. And I'll say, I don't know how deep you want to get with this, but yeah, I think doctors, the personal, like the trainers, like the medical staff, they wanted me to be at 1785 and burn 48 to 5,800. But David's right. There becomes a point where it's like, well, I need to lose a little bit more. So if I can cut another 500 calories times 7 days a week, that's another pound. I stay in the house. And then you hear Sally, there's no one on our season named Sally, but you hear Sally is on 800 calories. Well, now I got to beat Sally. So I got to, so there's a competition to it. It's almost like an addiction that you want to stay there. And you got to kind of do what you got to do. But, I stayed where Huizinga wanted me for a long time. I probably didn't start making tougher decisions until probably week 7 or 8. So I stayed with over 1,500 calories, doing my thing. But one thing that's interesting, when you tell someone that you ate 1,000 or 1,200 calories for a day, they're like, oh my God. But they don't understand that a cup of egg whites and a zucchini, that's only 85 calories, and I'm full. So you learn to negotiate those calories and stretch them.
Yep.
And you learn when to eat 10 almonds, right? Where you get that extra 150 calories so you can blast out 2 more miles in the treadmill. So I think you learn as you go how to stack that. But to answer the question, Huizinga definitely encouraged you the whole time. Trainers wanted to get competitive.
Was there a dishwasher? Just wondering.
No, it was broken. It was
What?
We were the dishwashers.
Yeah.
We were the dishwashers. Yeah.
There was no
I
ice
think we
maker.
had a dishwasher and it still didn't get done.
No.
Which brings me to the next question. Well, I have another. As a person who's eaten a carnivore diet for like almost 3 years, did they push veganism on you, or did they tell you to eat meat, or was there any specifics on you absolutely have to hit this, or was it all about calories?
I'll say and David and I were on different teams. David was with Dolvet. I was with Bob. Bobby and Jillian were kind of married with some of their ideologies, right? So we were supposed to be eating protein, supposed to be eating chicken and meat. I remember one time I showed Bob how much chicken I had, and he's like, that's not enough. So I will say that he was pretty cool with that. I know the early seasons he was a vegan, but he turned that around when he, right before my season, he also went hard into CrossFit. So a lot of his training changed when he went to protein, based stuff like that. So, and we were on the benefit of that. So I can't say I was ever pushed to skimp it when it came to protein or anything like that. For me.
Yeah, basic protein, veg. Really, it was a lot about a portion control. You definitely count calories, right? We're wearing the little bud things that you put on your arms to count calories, and it was before Fitbit, so it was like, I don't know what they called them. I thought they were like bugs. Do you remember? Yeah, the body media stuff. Anyway, we had to wear the body media stuff all the time, and it would track all of our workouts and food and all that stuff. We'd input that stuff every day. And so you always had the math of losing weight in mind. At least I did. I knew what a calorie was. I knew how many calories made a pound, and I knew what my calorie deficit needed to look like every day so that I was on track for the week, so that I could be in the top whatever percentage to stay on the ranch, because at the end of the day, I need to stay on the ranch to get the most success. It wasn't about necessarily winning the show for me, although it became about that at the end when I had that chance, but it's about staying on the ranch as long as possible to turn my life around. And so you start to play the game of Biggest Loser pretty early.
Mm-hmm. And did you guys have access to the outside world at all? Like, were you able to call your family? Did you guys get to go on the internet? Did you ever get to leave the ranch?
No. So
tell them, Maddie.
People are always so surprised. So, I mean, I can tell you some stories, but people are surprised to hear that there is no internet, there's no TV. You might have a clock radio, but you're in the mountains, so you probably won't get the radio. There's no newspapers, there's nothing. I remember when we'd go to challenges or we would go off-site, maybe just to Soul Cycle or Flywheel, and we would get to listen to the radio. And I remember, Dave, you might remember this too. That was the summer, like, Blurred Lines came out, and we would be in the van like, hey, just trying to, listen to music as much as we could, but there was nothing. Even the PAs wouldn't tell us what's going on, stuff like that. Now,
yeah, you're cut off from the world, right? And so that is the hard part. Now, well, I will say that we became pretty crafty about making some opportunities happen that they didn't know about. There was a couple of confiscated items that we were able to use for a few weeks. I'll just say that. I won't give names or any of that stuff. Listen, we've been off the show long enough, and we're not going to get in trouble, Matt. It'll be all right. We can tell them.
I mean, so once in a while they'd bring us to like a strip mall, and there'd be one PA.
Oh, I thought that was going somewhere else for a second there.
Oh, they'd bring us to like a mall or something. So there'd be like one PA for me, David, and Jay, let's say. And then Jay would go into this store, and the PA can only follow one person. And so someone else goes into this store and buys a burner phone. It happens.
Maybe it happened.
Oh my gosh, that's great, because the reality, one of the shocking things for me was how freaking long the filming was. How long was your filming? And by your season, was yours one of the seasons where they actually tried to get close to the 7 days?
Yeah, so our season, I was only on the ranch from like June. I arrived in LA June 13th and I went home September 18th. So it was like 4 months.
Only?
But
you realize that's longer than like any other reality TV show.
Well, yeah. But our season did start aggressive at first. Like our first week, I think David was like 12 days. But eventually it got to our weigh-in Wednesday, right, Dave? Fucking weigh-in Wednesday. Every
right.
Wednesday we weighed in. So we did hit a cadence after the caffeine situation. That kind of set the cadence, and that was in week 5. So for probably 6 weeks in a row, we were a full week.
Yeah.
So David, how long were you there then?
I was one of the finalists, so I made it all the way through filming on the ranch, which would have been mid-October, I want to say. I was home for Halloween, which is the day after my daughter's birthday is on the 30th of October. I was home for her birthday. She was turning 15, and I remember showing up at the homecoming football game. She was a Palm girl, and so I showed up and got to kind of surprise her with that. And so, but then our finale was first week of February. So we're all at home working still, even though it's not on camera. And then the show airs week by week while we're at home working out and before finale. So on there from June 11th, 13th, early June to end of October.
And then when was the finale?
And that was February 4th. So we had like 9 months in total, Dave. Does that sound right? Something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow. And just remind us, how much did you guys each lose?
I'll go first because I'm less. David went all out. I lost 133.
222. I did 222.
You lost 222, or that's where you ended your weight?
No, I lost 222. I started at 409, ended up at 187, whatever the math is, 222.
In 9 months?
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
So what I do all day, every day is help people lose weight and keep it off now. How did that all go for you? Did you keep it off, or did it immediately start fighting you? Did you continue to work out 12 hours a day? Did you continue to eat 800 calories? Like, what happened? If it'll make you feel more comfortable, I'll tell you what happened to me. I left the filming. I started gaining. By the finale, I'd already gained some weight. Within a year, I think I was back to my start weight. Within 2 years, I started at 230 and I was up to 330. Within a few years, I was higher than I even. And so then I've spent the last, I'm 19 years out. So then I spent the next 11 years or whatever getting it off and keeping it off. So it's been a freaking journey.
I would say for me, within the first first month and a half, I probably put 20 pounds back on. I was able to maintain reasonable weights. We ended in 14. I became a spin instructor right away, and I started doing running. So I was able to be okay until I ran a couple of marathons and stuff. I'm going to bore you with this information. So I had a very physical job. And then in 2018, I left that job and got to a desk job. That's when it piled right back on. So 4 years later, in a matter of like 6 months, I put on 80 pounds. But I was able to keep most of it off probably for the first 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of things I want to touch on. What you do for the game show when you're when you've worked your way through the season and you're still continuing on and you find yourself in a smaller and smaller room, is then you start to shift into, I'm going to win the show. I want to win $250,000. I want to stand on the stage and let the confetti fall and do the thing. And so I went into win it at whatever cost. And we had a season full of really strong, competitive people, right? And so we were all pushing each other to the same ends. And it's just not reality, right? It's not real life. So no matter what happened after the show was not going to be the same as what happened on the show or for the finale. And so your body had to change anyway. So the show does a great job of creating a product, which is us, right? We're the product. You guys on the screen with me, we are the product. And our workouts would inspire people, awesome, and we would change and we would lose a lot of weight, extreme amounts of weight in a very short amount of time. But what the show did not do well, and I think it's been talked about in the documentary and other places, is that there was no real teaching or training on how to do this when you go back to your real life. Because you can't live working out 10 hours a day. You can't live eating 800 calories a day for the rest of your life. And so when you go back to your real life, it's going to be different. I had fasted the last 3 weeks of my experience before finale. So I hadn't had anything to eat for 3 weeks before the finale, trying to win the show. And so as soon as I started eating again, of course I gained weight. I gained probably 20 pounds of water weight over the first 3 or 4 weeks. And that's just the reality of the show versus real life. And so none of us at finale kept the exact same weight after finale. I don't think it's possible because we're not doing the same things. Now, that being said, I'm somewhere in the middle between where I started and where I finished, and I've been able to maintain that pretty well. I've been up and down, and the roller coaster continues. It always has for me, but I feel very comfortable with who I am today. I eat well. I am pretty low carb. I'm not full carnivore, but I am low carb. I work out 4 days a week, 2 hours at a time. And that's a lot for most people, but coming from Biggest Loser world, that's not much, right? So, it's just, you have to make it work for your lifestyle. And something that you need to figure out is the food, which is 80% of it. And how am I going to move to make my body feel better? And that's the other 20%. Once you can figure that out, something you can sustain with real life situation going around you, then you'll be successful.
That was one of the questions here is, are
Great
any
questions.
of these
There's some good questions.
currently carnivore? I am carnivore-ish. Like,
Me too.
I recently added a little squash. I've added a little pickle. I've eaten a couple berries. But they say you're hyper carnivore if you eat 80% meat. But I feel like everybody who calls themselves a carnivore is actually hyper carnivore. And then everybody else is, I don't know. Anyway, Matt, what do you eat these days?
I am not carnivore in any capacity. So
Are you vegan?
I just try to keep it as clean as I can. I mean, I had ice cream last night, but I just try to.
Shame.
I know, right? It was Ben and Jerry's too. But I just try to portion out, and I just try to keep it as clean as I can. But I don't have a specific anything that I follow.
So I was just looking up as a side note for fun, because we're going to have to get into the Rachel thing. But David, you were one of the top males of all time. Yeah. It looks like the only person who beat you was Danny Cahill. And I don't know if ChatGPT is correct, but that's what it says. And it is actually, now I've never seen like what Rachel's percentage was, but that's crazy. She lost 59.62%.
Yeah.
59.62. And then Danny was at the 55. Then we've got you at the 54.9. 54 point. something like that. And then, or you were 54.28. And then we've got Helen was at 54%. So, wow. I mean, that's what we were working towards. You are kind of a legacy. Now, Adrian was gaining weight before the finale. I'm like, I always felt like I was like the biggest loser of all the biggest losers. But then some awesome person who follows me went, nope, there was like 10 of you. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ChatGPT, for coming up with this kind of information. But I don't know if you've noticed, I invite all Biggest Losers on because I don't care if you were there for one day or if you were there to the very end. You had an experience that other people always hoped and dreamed that they would get. Was this a dream for you guys? Did you apply multiple times? How did you get on the show?
For me, so I had never I went to stand in line one time, but it was like 20 minutes and I bounced. So this was the first time I had ever applied. At the time I was engaged to be married, and filming for Biggest Loser started on June 25th and my wedding was supposed to be on July 20th. So I think the producers saw an opportunity, right? We're going to be able to show this guy postponing his wedding. So that was really, I think, what moved the needle for me on getting on the show. But I'd only applied one time, really. I know there's some that have applied 10, 15 times. But for me, I was super lucky and super blessed. I think my interview process was interesting. This was the only season trainers picked the teams during the interview process. So if you go back to episode 1 of our season, we were interviewed by Jillian, Bob, and Dolvett, and they decided who made it on the show. For me, I can certainly tell you a little bit about it. I wasn't picked. The president of NBC picked me, and he had Jillian work me out. I can bore you with that story, but yeah, I just applied one time.
Yeah, me too. I was for me, it was a little different. I wasn't looking to try out for any show. I certainly was. I watched the show, but I watched the show while I ate a bag of chips. So that was my experience with Biggest Loser before that. The reality is that I wanted something different in my life, and I heard about this extreme weight loss thing going on. And so I went to try out for the extreme weight loss, which was just down the road from me. And I met with one of their producer people, and we got interviewed for that. And she let me know like a week later, I didn't make the show, but that I should try out for the Biggest Loser because she was going to help in casting with that as well. And I went and tried out using the videos and stuff that I had done for extreme weight loss. I used the same stuff and sent it in and got in line and got picked to go through to the next round and the next round and the next round. Finally getting out to LA. There's about the process is that, there's thousands of people talking 90 seconds at a time at a table. Then you make the first cut. They call you back. You go meet at a hotel, do on-camera interviews with a couple of story producers who ask you a bunch of questions and see how you are on camera. Those get sent off to a bunch. There's probably 50 or 60 per location that get sent off to the people back in Hollywood. And then we were part of, I think there was like 50 or 60 of us out in LA, right, Matt?
Yeah.
That started and then we go through another round of interviews and testing and psychology testing and physical testing and all this stuff. And then we find out eventually after about a week of that, all right, you're one of the 13 people that made it on the show. So that's kind of how that pairs down throughout each phase of the process. But I wasn't planning on it. I found myself backdooring kind of that way.
Wow. So there was like 40 people or 35 people who got sent home.
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, one of them Matt, you said it earlier, there's a bunch of people that tried out year after year after year. There was a bunch of people in that room with us that were part of that crew. They had been called out to this stage at some point in the past, and they were called back by the producer saying, we'd like you to try out again. Like they handpicked them to come try out again. They brought them out to LA again. And I remember the morning that we got out of the hotel and got in line for the buses, there was a girl that said she was definitely going to be on the show because she was handpicked. She's been through this process multiple times and she knew she was going to get picked. And we were in the bus line for the ranch and she was in a bus line to go back to the airport.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, so there were like 50 of us and there's like group interviews and stuff like that. And as those interviews went on, there were just less and less and less people. And that process took a solid 10, 11 days. So I guess the other part, to go back to what's surprising, is that before you even get on the show, you're sequestered for a week and a half. You don't have a key to your hotel room. You cannot leave your room. So I think it might have been different when you were there, right? But you couldn't even leave your room to go do something.
We couldn't leave our rooms either.
Somebody had to come pick you up, escort you to the store, right? And then bring you back to your room, and you have no key. So that was really eye-opening too. You're in your room by yourself on the bed watching TV all day.
You just gave me a whole new perspective on my season. My season was 50 people, one from every state. I think they only brought like 52 people. I might be wrong. Maybe it was 60. They didn't bring that many people. Like almost everybody who went, the people that disqualified, it was like a medical disqualification. Like one of the people that we lost, on our season, he didn't medically qualify. But what they did was 36 of us were sent home. They added him to the at-home program, even though he wasn't part of the show. I cannot imagine going through that process and 2/3 of the people are sent home.
And as you're going,
heartbreak.
Like one day you see Billy and then Billy's just not there anymore. Because you don't know who goes home.
That's right.
Wow. And were you guys able to talk or not really?
No, they called it on ice, right? Do you remember that? Like you're on ice. Nobody can talk. And even between challenges, but they would give us a time like during the interview process where they'll bring you to the mall. And you meet downstairs at 11. You cannot talk to anyone. You sit in a van, it's completely silent. You get out in the van, you cannot talk, you cannot do anything. If you get caught talking to someone else, you're out. So they wanted, and the reason is, they want when you get on camera for episode 1, 2, and 3, right? They want those to be organic relationships and they want to catch them on camera. They want to see me and David being like, oh man, for the first time. And so it's authentic, like it's legit. I understand why they did it. It sucked, but I understand why they did it.
We have so many questions from the audience. Let's see here. First one is, how did you have cash or card to buy a phone?
That's a great question. So you did, when you got there, you had whatever you brought with you. So if you had money in your wallet or a debit card or something like that, you would have had that left over. So, for example, I wasn't the one that bought the phone, but to tell you how you could buy the phone is you get paid every week.
Allegedly.
You get a check, right? You get a check at weigh-in, and you can mail that check home, and then your person at home deposits in your account, but you have the debit card. So you're still able to do stuff like that. And a burner at that point was like $30.
And I'll tell you why it became necessary, because as we're losing weight, you can imagine we went to the whole thing with I was wearing 5X clothes at the time, but about a month in, I had lost 100 pounds and that stuff doesn't fit anymore. And so the off camera, which is where I spend 90% of my time, I needed clothes that would fit, that I could work out in. So they take us to the Target or to the mall or whatever to go buy some things. And because we were getting a per diem, that's the money we would use to buy the things to kind of supplement that, our clothing mostly, although there was a few other purchases.
But yeah, those gym shorts.
I see a smile. Please tell me the few other purchases, because this looks juicy.
Yeah, David.
Did you guys have a closet like in season 2? Season 2 had a closet where people were doing it.
Oh.
I'm not going to say no, but we had closet. We had the ranch is in like a national park. And so we had the ability to leave the dormitory and go exploring the good, wide open places. And so I heard stories, can't confirm or deny.
Sorry, keep going. I love it.
Yeah. And so
people were losing weight, they were feeling good, and maybe they were finding some partnership in the woods.
I didn't see
allegedly,
that, but
I didn't see any of it on my season, but allegedly there was a closet on my season as well prior to my entrance. But I can't confirm or deny any of that. Okay. What was your best memory? What was your most difficult memory while you were on the show?
Best memory for me was week 1 because I got kicked out of the very first workout by Jillian, and I got kicked out on the front porch, and she came out and told me I was going home. And to know me is to know that all that did was fire me up. And so in my mind, I'm saying, all right, F you, and I'm not going to be on your team, but watch what happens. Like, hold my beer. And so that's kind of the thought I had when Jillian said, you're going home. She said, I'm going to send you home. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, watch this. And so at the end of the first week, which actually was more like 10 days, what do you think? Maddie, how long was it before the first weigh-in?
I think it was 12 days on campus.
12 days? Okay, that's about right. Anyway, I get up there and I lost 38 pounds in the first weigh-in. The first week is what they look like on TV. So that was my, hey, Jillian, what do you like me now? So that was my favorite memory was that.
In your first weigh-in, you lost 38 pounds too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say my best memory of the show, I mean, how can you narrow that down? I loved the days that we got to go off campus and go to like Flywheel and Soul Cycle. I remember the first time we went to, so I'm going to say my best memory was the first time we all went to Soul Cycle. And Dave, I think you'll remember this. I don't know if you've ever been, but at the time it was just this, I'd never done a spin class. And there was this girl, I still remember her name was Lauren C. She was the instructor. And she did this thing where she's like, focus on home and focus on this and on that. And we all finish up class. And then we go outside, and this never happens, but all the guys get into one van and all the girls get into another van, including PAs, guys, girls. And which never happens. You always mix whoever. And I remember we sat in the van and it was all the guys. And I go, did anybody else just cry in that class? And everybody was like, oh my God, I was bawling my eyes out. So I think that was a really cool memory for me because like everybody felt the same thing. And at that point, that was during the hiatus from the caffeine thing. So we'd already been out of town for 6 weeks. Like I still haven't talked to my family for 6 weeks and answered a phone or wrote a letter. So I think that was the most like homecoming moment for me. That stands out. I mean, we could pick out a whole bunch of things. The most difficult for me was definitely it's a cross between the episode where I get saved and when I go home, right? So I think both of those scenarios were, forgive my language, complete dog shit. So I don't think they were right. I think I was screwed in both scenarios. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. However, it is what it is. It's a game show. So I would say my most difficult memory is how I went home.
I have 2 questions, and then we still have like lots of questions from the audience. So if you put a question in there, don't worry, I probably flagged it, but the best thing you can do is put a question in front or a Q in front or use the whatever. I will try to find it. So we got a few, but when you guys did psychological testing, do you think that qualified you or disqualified people? And I just want to throw in a little thing here that I've been making jokes that it didn't disqualify you because they needed some personality. And I'm always in an undertone joking about, someone who wasn't super nice to me on my season. However, we've recently been chatting, and I even bought her book. So if anybody's out there and they want to know behind the scenes, like early on, you can buy this on Amazon, Losing It. And it's a pretty good read, you guys. And it just made me realize, like, she probably passed her test. It was just a really strenuous situation, and to give people grace. When you're watching the show, especially, please give people grace, because we were sequestered. We were gone forever and ever. We were losing weight. The hormones from the fat cells and the toxins were flushing into the bloodstream. And anybody on reality TV with cameras in the corner, I'd love to know if you guys have cameras in the corner watching every single thing you do, and you're already kind of a self-conscious person. It's a pressure cooker. Right, guys? So you guys did some psychological testing. Did you have any fun personalities? We'll call it fun. Did you have any interesting personalities on your show? Or was everybody super nice and got along like season 9?
So I resonate with the camera thing, right? Because you lay in bed and you look up and you're like, is someone watching me right now? But as far as the testing goes, I would imagine it probably weeded people out, people that just couldn't handle the situation. But as far as the personalities on my show, something I regret is, and I think about our season, is I think that we were too conscious of what we were saying. So I think I was too afraid of being pivoted as a villain, because at that time, being a villain on reality TV was cool, right? You had that Johnny dude from Survivor, you had these housewives, and I think everyone was too worried about being a jerk that even when they were like, hey, Sally's not working out, Matt, what do you think? And I'd be like, well, this is Sally's journey. But in my mind, I'm like, Sally's a lazy motherfucker. Sorry. Sally's a lazy, Sally just goes to bed at 8 o'clock and eats cake. And in my mind, but I'm like, it's her journey. You know what I mean? So, because you are on a very wholesome show. So I think our personalities were extremely watered down on camera, but I think we had a lot of fun off camera. Like, you put, look, Ruben Studdard is just a genuine dude, and his personality can really help control a room. So I think there was a lot of really cool personalities, but no one that was really like, well, I got one person, but
Sally.
But it was pretty cool. There was one person that was a really big pot stirrer, who doesn't even deserve for me to say their name, but Dave,
have you talked to the person today? Because perhaps it's water under the bridge. No, thank you. Okay. There's nobody from my season that I wouldn't love to see, but I'm also a people pleaser, and they all hated me because of my position in the show. So maybe it's me just wanting them to say, actually, we kind of like you in real life, even though we absolutely despised you on the show. Because as you know, I don't know if you guys had anybody in that position where they were just the hated person because of what was going on in the show. But I was already coming in feeling like nobody loved me. So to be the hated person, that sucked. Anyway, go ahead. What do you think, David? Were there any good personalities, interesting person? Do you think it's a pass-fail, or do you think it's like that would make good TV?
I think it's both. I mean, obviously it's, again, we're the product. So they want to make sure that they can have interesting dialogue, as well as people that will give them the nuggets they need to make a TV show for ratings, right? Ratings is what sells advertising dollars. And so, of course, just like with all reality, you have the typecasting that happens. You got to fill every typecast so that the conflicts can happen, so that the conversations can happen where, different generations, different demographics, different socioeconomic backgrounds, all of that stuff has to play out so that we're a melting pot of society. And there is conflict that's going to happen because we all come from different places and value different things anyway. And let's go back to what Matt and I were talking about early on. You put us in a place where you take away our phones and our contact with everybody that loves us and knows us. You put us in a place where we can't get out and we're stuck there 24/7 with 15 strangers, and we're hangry and we're miserable because our bodies are failing us. And of course, some dramatics are going to happen, as they did for us as well. I do think Matt's right. On camera, we were trying to like do our best imitation of like just go along with it. Behind the scenes, there's plenty of personalities. We're put in teams on the show, like red team, white team, blue team. But man, we had a crew, and Matt and I were in a crew together, and it had nothing to do with the affiliation of the color of the jersey we had on game day. And so we had a group that kind of, we just went towards each other and we helped connect with each other. And so we helped support each other through that process with our food, with our workouts, with our encouragement, with our, let's talk about why we're crying at the drop of a hat now. Like we had our people that we went to. And so I don't think there was anybody on our season that didn't have somebody that they could go do that with.
And on that point too, I think season 14, the season before us, had more drama on it than normal. And I think NBC intentionally, I never watched that season, to be honest. I think intentionally the producers didn't want to go that direction. They wanted to stay more of an uplifting, like wholesome show. So I think that they kind of picked people like that. And when I say there's one person, like I'm being dramatic, right? But to David's point, you think about, you're in the scenario with these people, and everything you do is like a therapy session, right? So I'm working out for 4 hours. I'm hungry. I'm sad. I miss my family. But so is Jay, who's my roommate. Jay was in the white team. He's in the same thing. So every night it's a therapy session. So yeah, there was a therapist, but I had Jay, I had Hap and Marie, I had David, right? So you're constantly, every day is therapy with these people. So it's hard to be mean to these people. There's competition, but it's hard to be like, screw that guy. But because that's who's my therapist at 8 o'clock. Like when we're done, he's my boy. So I think our season, there's a little bit because you're hungry and hangry, but I don't think we were like, I hate you. Like there was nobody ganging up on each other.
No.
Every time I ask a question, we get 6 more. And of course, I have my own questions for you guys. I've got so many. I don't want to cut. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the next one. How did your experience on the ranch shape your views on health and nutrition? And I would like to add, do you think it was healthy, or do you think it was an unhealthy view on health and nutrition? For example, I left thinking I just need to eat less and move more. So eventually I chased that down. Eventually I made that a full-time job again. And for me, it turned out that wasn't supportive of a healthy metabolism and healthy hormones. But so for me, it was a good lesson and a bad lesson, and it just needed more info for me. But what do you guys think? Go ahead, David. You guys are so polite.
Maddie's my boy. I like my boy to go first. No, I'll tell you what, if I'm being honest, I don't think of the show as a health and nutrition show. I just don't. It's not healthy or it doesn't teach good nutrition. It doesn't teach the healthy way to do things. Let's just be honest. There's a shock factor. It's an extreme weight loss show. And we all know that that's not the healthiest, best way to do stuff. It's definitely not the way to do things long term. And so to think that the show was anything more than that is just misplacing that. I think what it was is an inspiration that if you put your mind here, let me tell you one story. This will give you what I learned the most about the show and about myself, is that I think it was brain surgery more than anything. What I mean by that is at the end of the first workout, they put us on a treadmill, incline 10, speed 3.0. And for those of you guys that do treadmill, you know that is kind of hard. And when, again, you put morbidly obese, sedentary people on, like there was no chance that any of us were going to make it very long on that. And so I fall off of that thing relatively quickly. and get kicked out of the gym first week. By the end of that first week, I found out I'm on Dolvet's team, and I am on the treadmill with my Last Chance workout. Do you guys remember the show? There was a Last Chance workout. Well, anyway, that's on camera as well. And so for us, that was like day 10. I get on the treadmill after falling off day 1 within the first minute. And by the end of the first week, TV week, through Dolvet's coaching and telling me and encouraging me through it, I ran an entire mile by the end of the first week, which I was coming off of the couch 10 days earlier. And so what I learned in that moment is that I had this limiting self-belief, and I was teaching myself that I can't do stuff over and over and over in my life. And here was a person that was teaching me, no, you can keep going. And I have asthma and I can't breathe and I'm going to fall off and I can't do this. And he's like, no, give me 2 more seconds. Give me 20 more seconds. That's all you need to do. And by the end of it, I had run the entire mile. I didn't have to walk at all. And yeah, I was dying and panting and falling over and almost puking and all that stuff. But what he showed me in that moment is that I can do something 10 times more than I think I can. And I have to learn to reprogram the thing in my mind that tells me I couldn't. And that's what the show was about for me.
That is so powerful. Standing ovation. I feel the same way, and I've never identified it, that this show proved to me I can do anything. How about you, Matt?
So, if I'm going to echo something, right, that's it. So for me, a lot shifted. So I understood after the show, health is not just your blood pressure. It's not the scale, right? It's so much more mental. It's so much more of kind of like, people go, well, I can't run a mile. Well, you can't run a mile yet, right? So I think the health was the mindset change for me. The nutrition, I'll get to that in a second, right? But the health since then, how that's changed my life is in 2019, I started and I completed my life coach and health coach certification. So I went through like a year process with clients and just learning the difference between I can, I can't, I want to, I will, and so that really helped shift so much of like who I am and who I can be for other people. So I would say this shifted who I can be for other people. As far as the nutrition, I learned, look, eat less, move more. Yeah. But there is, and I don't want to be that person that that soundbite stuff, but food is fuel. And I have learned through The Biggest Loser. And then after that, because now I do like Ragnar's, which is relay trail endurance racing, I've learned the difference between if I eat fruit and vegetables the day before, or if I eat carbs, or if I eat chocolate. So I've learned to look at nutrition as fuel. Again, I had ice cream. I've had some whoopie pies. It is what it is. But I've learned that those things will make a difference today, and they'll affect how your body reacts the next few or 4 days. So I think it's really helped me in both cases forecast what I'm going to be and what I can do.
I just want to throw a little thing out there because I'm a jerk, but I think this could be life-changing for you, Matt. You need to get something like Keto Chow, and you need to just mix it with some milk, some cream, throw it in the Ninja Creamy, and boom, delicious. And it's just protein.
Keto Chow.
Amazing.
I wrote it down. Keto Chow.
Did you really? Oh, it's so good. It's clean. But or use whatever protein powder you love, and you just put it in the Ninja Creamy. And I've had a Ninja Creamy for a year. Never touched it. Recently, finally hit that button, and oh my gosh, the consistency. Okay, sorry, off topic.
All right. Sponsored by Ninja Creamy as well.
Oh, I do not have a discount code for that, but the Ninja Creamy is a totally good buy. No joke. Okay. This is a good question. After the show, did you have skin removal surgery, and would anybody do it for free? I did not. I need skin removal surgery now. Not me. I don't know. Maybe I don't. But
No, I did not.
to do it for free, please email me, Adrian at radicallyhealthy.com. Looking for someone who's up on the lymphatic system. Thank you.
I did not. I think it's something at this point I could probably use a little bit, but by no means extreme. I did not, was never offered, but I think I'd like to have it.
Me too, especially the legs. David, being so close to winning, losing 222 pounds, did you have any skin removed? And did anybody offer you free stuff?
I did not have skin removed, although I had, I was given an opportunity to look at that. I probably should have at the time. I didn't, and I still have the bat wings and that kind of stuff going on. I don't know. I have a weird thought that I don't want to, if it's like not absolutely necessary medically, why do it? Be happy with who you are, in your own skin type thing. And so, I don't look perfect in the mirror. I look far from it, but, I'm happy with where I'm at.
As far as the free thing goes, I always this always burns me a little bit. There was a point where Allison was like, when you go home, you have a free Planet Fitness membership. I thought it was for life. It was for 3 months. It was a $30 freebie. You think, oh, I can work out for the rest of my life. No, it was a $30, 3 months, $10 a month. Thanks, Planet Fitness.
We got hundreds of dollars in Jenny O coupons where we could just go buy Jenny O ticket. And I swear it felt like $200. I had a ridiculous amount of Jenny O. And then when they came out with the body bug thing, they did mail it to all the alumni who asked for one. So I did end up with a body bug, but that's all that I got for free.
So I think you probably got it. I got a Brita water filter, which I still use.
I did not.
We got a Biggest Loser scale, which broke at some point. But we got a box of Quest bars. We got coupons for broccoli for Green Giant. So we got some small stuff.
Hey, no, there was one big thing. There's a couple of big things we got too. You remember the boots, the boots, compression boots?
Yeah.
We got a set of compression boots. I was still there for the triathlon, so I got a wetsuit and some other stuff like that. Yeah.
I left mine in my closet.
I think it's interesting they allowed you guys to buy clothes. We were not. I think that they sent us a check when we got home for the per diem, the total when you got home, but we didn't have access to that while we were there. Do you guys remember what your per diem was? Are we allowed to say? I think it's illegal. It's not illegal to say it because often the government sets what the per diem is.
Yeah. It wasn't much. I'll be honest. It wasn't much.
Yeah, it was $100 a day. So every Wednesday.
That's what it was in season 3 in 2006.
You don't make money from reality TV.
No. Wow. No. As a college kid, I was like, yeah.
Drinking money.
Exactly. I went to the University of North Dakota. Okay. Do any of you regret being on The Biggest Loser? I've never answered this, so I'm going to pipe in and say absolutely not. It wasn't a great experience afterward as I hid and I had shame and I struggled for 8 years. However, that was the journey that I needed to push me into being who I am today. I needed to come out of my cocoon. I needed to tell myself, I don't need a show to do this. I can do this on my own. I can continue to find tools. I can be resilient even when I continue to gain weight because everything that I tried fought me, every single thing. And I just got more and more fatigued. And I needed to go through this so I could be who I am today.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I don't regret it for a second.
Me either.
A lot of my friends, my job I have now, it's the fork. Biggest Loser was the fork in the road for me. I think I was awesome before Biggest Loser, and I think I'm awesome now. But I don't regret it for a second. I wish I could do a couple of things over, but yeah. I would do it again.
And I'll echo that, and I'll answer the follow-up question. Would you do it again? I would do it again.
Yeah, I would too. I would go this time maybe just for body comp, for the vacation. I would miss my kids and all, but I think that I would put my feet in the ground. I would soak up the sun and just enjoy the peace and quiet. And the delicious food. Did you guys have fabulous food? Because ours was out of this world. I don't remember what the water brand was, but we had the most expensive water you could possibly buy at the time. I think it came in a clear bottle with purple writing. I don't remember what it was, but we had fish and steak and like the most beautiful produce of your whole entire life. We had such good food.
You could ask for anything. They would go to Whole Foods and I think Trader Joe's. But as far as the water goes, I feel like in like season 6 or 7, they introduced the Brita filters. So all we had was Nalgene's and Brita. But yeah, I mean, anything you wanted, you could have. But when you're eating 800 calories, how far does that really sweet steak go, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you like the food, David?
Yeah, food was okay. I mean, again, it's all whole food, right? So you find the thing that works best for 80% of what you would eat. You don't want to spend all your time figuring out what you're going to eat because you have to go work out 2 to 3 hours, 3 times a day, right? That was the key for my success is morning, noon, night, 3 hours each time. I'm doing 9 hours a day. And between that, I'm doing ice baths, napping and eating. And so, what's the quick way to cook and maybe meal prep for myself? And I found fish and asparagus were my go-tos.
Mm-hmm. I think we kind of already answered this one, but if you had a redo, would you still go back on the show? I would.
Yep.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's say it doesn't work in the long term. Like maybe calories in, calories out for me isn't the ultimate weight loss ticket. However, all that work you're doing is underneath. When I recently lost my weight, I actually slowed my workouts down. My body comp, I think, is pretty great. I've got some muscle, but it's all because I've been working out my whole life. So even if it wasn't the perfect weight loss ticket, all of that work is still helping clean the inside of your body and make you a healthier person, except for maybe the under eating part. But the whole foods and the exercise, right?
Right. Matt, you got something on your shirt there, bro. You might want to.
Honestly, it's the second time she just won't stop. So
she's so cute.
It was either that or she's just going to keep talking. But yeah, I mean, the whole shift from whether it's vacation for a month or whatever, I would do it again just for the experience. And again, so much happened up here. Why wouldn't I do that again? Why wouldn't I have a chance to have no bills and no stress and no social media? Like, not having those things was a blessing. It was tough for a week or two, but after that, I didn't care about Facebook, like Instagram. Who cares? Like, you just get used to it, and it's almost freeing to be in that environment.
There's a healing that's happening in your mind. I mean, think about the world we live in over the last week and the absolute chaos and craziness that's been happening. And you get to be taken out of all of that. And you're not being confronted with just this negativity at all times. In fact, it's all positive. It's all about look at what you can do and look at what you're becoming. And we're encouraging each other. And it's like everything was uplifting and encouraging and supportive. And why would you not want to go back to that?
So we had a question. I'm skipping, but don't worry, guys. I'll go back to yours. How much does the runner-up get? So did you go home with money, David?
I did, yeah. Our team won a couple of things along the year as well, but the runner-up gets $50K for runner-up stuff. That's the $50K.
That doesn't suck. That sounds great.
It doesn't. Yeah, that's not bad. But it's for 9 months of your life, 24/7. And so when you look at it like that, it's not that much.
Okay, I got a secret here. Were any of you approached for any offer of shows, commercials, news shows, or anything? Did you guys go on the news or anything?
Yeah.
David, did you
Maddie,
do like a media tour?
Yeah, I mean, I got invited to do a bunch of stuff. I spent a year and a half doing speaking, different corporate events, and got invited to different things. In fact, one of them I got invited to was out there in Boston, and Maddie showed me around town when I went out there for that. And in fact, we did it together. I got him up on stage with me, and we did a little dog and pony show for I don't remember, what was that, like a health expo, right?
Health expo, yeah.
Yeah, the Boston Health Expo. So and I'm from Oklahoma, so like, I'm sure I sounded funny to all you Boston guys. But yeah, I got opportunities to do a bunch of stuff.
Like, did you go on the Today Show?
No, I didn't do any of the major stuff. I probably should have been, especially after the controversy. Being the runner-up, I had the most to lose when Rachel came out there the way she did, right? And so I was kind of surprised that I wasn't invited to be part of some of those things. I got invited right after the finale to interview with like Entertainment Tonight and some of those people. So I did a few little snippets, but it was the night of finale, right? When all of the media kind of comes onto the stage and starts asking questions of the contestants and the trainers and all that stuff. So I was part of that, but didn't get invited out to New York or any of that stuff, unfortunately.
I did get to go on Today's Show, and then the year after that, I spent a lot of time with the Biggest Loser Run Walk series. A lot of the Spartans. So like I did like Malibu Spartan. I did Vermont, New Jersey. So I got to do a couple of Spartans leading teams and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, nothing sponsored really. David and I were approached by one guy at that expo, but nothing.
Were you guys approached to be in the documentary?
No, I don't think I was controversial enough to.
No.
Approach.
We had a positive experience. Are you kidding me? They wouldn't have us on there.
Yeah, the people on the documentary, I got an opinion. I don't know if you want it, but
we do.
Well, some of the people, obviously, sued Biggest Loser, right? So you want to get them on the show. We're all going to say this. Everyone had their own experience.
Right.
Some people want their 16th minute of fame also.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think I was a marquee enough person to be interviewed for something like that.
Yeah. I did the run walk with Andrea. It came to Wisconsin, so I went on down to that. I spoke at a health conference one time, but I am excited to say I have some exciting things coming up, you guys. Of course, I can't tell you, but I'm excited to return to reality TV, and hopefully this time I won't be a blabbering mess screaming, "It's not fair," because it's not fair. There's nothing fair about reality TV, right? Hey, Did the producers, this is a question that I personally have, because, and this comes into the Rachel controversy, which you guys can tell me if you guys have any opinion on that. But Jillian recently posted some messaging from, I don't remember who, if it was like NBC or the producers, stating that she had to make a shocked face when Rachel came out, or they were going to sue her. And you could kind of tell, like, how could they be just so, I don't know. They just seemed so shocked, and it just didn't seem real to me. Well, first of all, do you guys have any comments on the Rachel controversy?
So as far as, I didn't hear that thing about Jillian, and I can tell you that I hadn't seen Rachel since being on the ranch. So I was shocked as well. Any comments on it? I don't know. I mean, depends on what you're looking for. The girl is a competitor, right? So, and, she had already gotten to a point where she had lost all the weight she can lose. This is what I tell people, because they're like, oh my God, what would you do if you were 23 years old and someone said, if you can lose 10 more pounds, we're going to give you $250,000, right? So you add the fact that she was a competitor and the fact that there was money on the line in the title. I don't blame the girl, honestly.
David, before you go, I want to tell you the opinion I've said on every single episode so far, which is, and I went and looked it up, so I'm a little bit inaccurate on this, but there were men every single season that were looking like they were about to black out. Every season, people were pushing it as far as they could to catch that title. And nobody said a thing until Rachel. Until Rachel, it was totally acceptable to fast for a month and to get a colonic and to go in the sauna and rub the hemorrhoid cream all over your body and wrap yourself in plastic and spit in a cup. That's my opinion. I see the competition and what are your thoughts, David? Other than
wish I would have had that.
Did caused her to get the 250 and it cost you $200,000.
It did. I wish I would have had some of that coaching is what I wish. I would have tried some of that stuff. I didn't know about the hemorrhoid cream or any of that stuff. What I did do is I did fast, 3 weeks before the finale. Didn't eat anything, was really low on my water intake. So I'm sure I was dehydrated. And so Rachel did what I did better than I did it. That's what I see is somebody that was ultra competitive. She was young. She was athletic. You guys got to remember, she was an Olympic level swimmer and she was going through the trials and just missed the Olympic team by like a microsecond. And
Just
so here's this. Right. Just a couple of years before that. And so she went and she lost herself when her dream died. And then the story was, we're a second chance season. And so the story is about her broken love and all of this. And so she found herself chasing feelings in food, just like a lot of us do. And so she was bound to bounce back very quickly. And because she's as competitive as she was always the mark for me. I always wanted to match, she's younger and faster and more athletic, but by God, I can outwork her. If she works out 9 hours, I'm going to work out 10. She's going to do a better 9 hours, but I'm, the one thing I have control over is just try and outwork her. And so I was always looking to Rachel as my litmus test of, am I doing enough on the ranch every day? And so when she did whatever she had to do to win the thing, she did it all within the letter of the law. She didn't break any rules. Now, was it shocking? Sure, because it's meant to be. Again, we're the product. We're the inspiration. We're the thing that you show up and you show the before and after photos, and it's shocking because it's extreme. And so it was just a little more extreme than it had ever been, and people reacted to that. Mm-hmm. And we found ourselves at that time in society at the beginning of cancel culture. And so that whole thing started to kind of create a new thing, right? And so I think it's just a conglomeration of things that made it an outrage. But the reality is I don't hold anything against her. I think she did everything in her power to win the show, and that's exactly what she did.
When you think about Rachel, so she had age on her side, right? She was 23. Couple of years before, and I'm talking 2 or 3, she was a competitive swimmer. And like Dave said, she had just put the weight on. I think in her interview, she talks about eating ice cream and cake and stuff like that. So it was really, I don't know if I want to use this term, it was new weight or new fat, right? So it's easier to take off. But when I was 38, Dave, I think was 43, right? He's competing with a girl 20 years younger than him. So, but look, I'll tell you, when everybody else was sitting there playing charades, she was sitting on a spin bike reading a book. She was always working. So, and seeing her, I don't think I ever saw the girl sat down, right? So we all sit down, and Jillian would always tell you, don't sit down. If you are waiting for an interview, you stand up and you wait for the interview just to get those extra 10 calories. So, yeah, Rachel, hard competitor. I would call her now and tell her. I just don't think she'd pick up the phone. But yeah.
Have either of you seen her? Because she doesn't seem to have any social media presence or anything.
No, she.
Just
the
seen-
last time I talked to her was probably 4 or 5 years ago, just through text. And last time I talked to her, she's great. She's just living her life as a 30-year-old, right? So, and we don't really have a lot in common. But yeah, I don't think she's doing anything bad.
Well, if anybody has her phone number, I would love to have her on. And it sounds to me like you were both inspired by her. Obviously not it. And here's another thing you just brought up, Matt, is everybody was doing a similar thing. It's just there's these studies on rats and mice. And the more you have a rat gain and lose and gain and lose, it takes them like 80% longer every single time. So by the time you're in your 40s and your 50s, you are struggling to lose the weight, where when it's the first time, it comes off pretty good. So her body was responding, plus she had her age. But reality, if we would have taken some of the 40, 50-year-olds and done the same exact thing, they may have gotten to the same spot. And the show had a ton of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds. So it's difficult to get the body to respond that way. But had they, we would have had way more people potentially in the same position. But I mean, for me, all of mine, I could never beat a BMI of 27. My body would never let me get below a BMI of 27, even if I tried all the things. So that's super interesting. Thank you guys for your intake on that one. Okay. Were the workouts on TV the same behind the scenes, or was the intensity stepped up for the camera?
All right, I'll tell you. So
Let's do it.
So look, here's the thing. I will tell you that this can take me 10 minutes, but I'll make it as short as I can. So I will say that Bob was straight out the whole time. I don't know if you're going to agree with me, if anybody would. Jillian has this thing as the world's toughest trainer, right? But Bob would beat the crap out of you. And I remember her saying this, her team at one point, if you really want to know what pain is, I'll put you on Bob's team. So, but Jillian, what I really liked about her is there would be times where the camera catches her, you're doing wall sits and she's walking on your legs, right? And all that. And as soon as the camera's done, she would be like back on the treadmills. So I'm not saying it was staged, but Jillian was a very consistent trainer. She was all about the cardio. I remember there was a time, and it's not like Jillian's gonna call me. I remember there was a time they were like, hey, Jillian, we need something. And she's like, all right, guys, let's get down. I'm going to tell you to do 100 push-ups. Just do a couple. And I remember watching on the blue team thinking, that's bullshit. But anyways, so Jillian's like, let's go, blah, blah, blah. And she looks up at the camera and she goes, we're cool? They're like, yep. She's like, back on the treadmills. So there was a little bit of that. But make no mistake, as far as the behind the scenes, you are physically moving 8 hours a day. So whether it's a hike, whether it's a slow burn, with the trainer, with Bob, we would do a 4-hour workout probably twice a week. But with the sub trainers, you're with those guys slow burning for 6 hours. So I would say the intensity was definitely ramped up for the camera. And that's where most of the body pain and the aches came, because you're really pushing yourself. Where off camera, they just want you to endure and move along. Do you pretty much feel the same, Dave?
Yeah, in fact, what they would have you, because listen, sitting on a treadmill is not sexy TV, let's be honest. So they would have you do things that were wild, things that you wouldn't think of. You know, you're like Ruben and I were doing push-ups and Tanya sprawls herself across our backs and we're to hold her up, and she's like 280 pounds at the time. And so that's they would take things like that and make that the TV part. But really where we were losing the weight is the long, slow burns, the spin cycle for an hour, the treadmill for an hour, but that's just not sexy TV. So we got to mix in some of the kind of made for TV stuff.
So when you say slow burn, so that's kind of a big thing these days. But when we talk slow burn today, it's taking massive amounts of weights that you can only move very slowly. And you're like ripping all the muscles and you only have to do like 3 reps because you're literally pushing it as hard as you can. Is that what you're saying? Or what does slow burn mean?
When I say slow burn, I'm talking about you wake up at 8 a.m., you just walk 2 miles, takes you half an hour.
Cardio.
Yeah, eat breakfast, you get on the spin bike for 2 hours. Like you're not, it's like an 80% or less exertion. For on camera, you're at 100% exertion. So because you can only do that for so long, but I can slow burn for 8 hours. So the slow burn is like you want to get those calories to like 800 calories an hour type of thing.
Yeah, it's long cardio sessions is what it is. You want to have a slow rolling sweat continuously. That's you want. That's how you lose weight. You got to sweat it out, pee or poop it out, right? You got to excrete it in one of those ways, and so you got to keep, you're hydrating and pushing fluid through your body at all times.
So did you guys have a bunch of people injured? Because on my season, pretty much everybody had overuse injuries that were causing them major pain. And they were just told, just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody had a little bit of something, whether it was a knee or a hamstring or blisters. Some more than others, of course. But you don't know everybody else's tolerance level, so it might be easy for me to be like, hey, Sally's dogging it because she doesn't want to have to work out.
Right.
I can't really say that I experienced anything significant other than I had this big collision with Hap and my leg just road burned and I was just bleeding. It was horrible. But I had this giant rash on my leg for weeks. But no, nothing. I mean, the advantage to the show, and something that you don't see, I wish they showed more of, is your recovery area is identical to a Major League Football team. Like there's an ice bath, or not identical, but an ice bath. You have compression boots. You have this thing where you put your hand in this ice glove, and it pulls your whole body temperature. So like, and they have an athletic trainer. So there's people to help you recover those things super fast. I never learned.
Yep.
I never knew how important ice baths were until I did it, and man, that recovers you.
Did you guys have the pool that pressed water so you didn't have to actually swim? I feel like we had that.
Like
where
move the water?
Like a spa? We had like a running spa that's in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never used it, but yeah, we had it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I used it the first week.
This is a good question. I was going to put this at the end, but I would love to know, especially Matt, do you coach people? Is there a place where people can find you guys?
I'm not a huge social media person. I am on Facebook. I'm super private on Facebook, but I do have Instagram, and it's still Matt Hooper BL15. Super easy to find. But I'm not really a poster. The only thing I really post about is I teach spin class still. So since Biggest Loser, I've been teaching spin class. I've taught over 2,000 classes. I still do it. So that's really the only thing I post is my spin classes. But you know what? It's always my New Year's resolution to get better at it. So the answer, Jazzy Jude, is Matt Hooper BL15, and I'll post something in the next 24 hours.
Yay!
All right.
How about you, David?
I put mine in my name. HeyKiddo .fyi is my Instagram, and just HeyKiddo FYI on TikTok. And those are my two that I use the most. And I will. I've been thinking about getting into coaching. I did it after the show for a couple of years and got away from it because I was speaking a lot, so I was on the road a lot. But I've been thinking about doing that more and more. Here's why, is because I think it's, especially Instagram is full of like the Instagram models that are all in their 20s. They're fit. They don't have to worry about, like, they've always been fit, and they're the people that are inspiring whatever generation to be fit, and they've never had to deal with the stuff that we've had to deal with, right? If a person has never had to deal with a weight issue, they won't have the answers to the questions that somebody that has had those problems will have. And I'm realizing that the more I can give back to the group, the bigger group of people like us who have succeeded and failed 50 times, 100 times in their life. And our season was about second chances. And I'm realizing that life is about second chances infinitely. And so what is it that I can bring to the table to help people with that treadmill story I told about you, and do the brain surgery and help people fix this so that they can show up for their family, so that they can show up in their marriage, so that they can show up in their finances, at work, on the scale. How can I bring my experiences and share it with a community of people and support each other when what we need is another second chance? And so I've been thinking a lot about that. And so you may see something like that coming from me soon. Find me, heykiddo.fyi on Instagram. DM me if you're interested. I'd be very curious as to see if there's even people out there that would be interested in it.
I love it. I feel like our group is a group of people who just want to share. We just want to help other people because we've struggled. So I don't know, Jazzy, if you probably do know, I'm at radicallyhealthy.com. And then Adrian K. Gledhill, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't post on X, but all over the place. And I also just love to help people. I mean, I have gained and lost. I added it up one day, 500 pounds. I mean, it's been up and down, and it's not a lack of effort. Dr. H, actually, I was emailing him this week, and I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on Dr. H since people actually know who he is now since the documentary. But he emailed me and said that I was one of the most ambitious, I don't know the exact word he used, players that they ever had. And I just thought, well, that's the sweetest thing that anybody's ever said. And it means a lot coming from him. The most motivated contestant ever, he said. So what are your guys' thoughts on the controversy? Did you guys get to know Dr. H at all? Because you guys were there for a long time. Did you have any contact with him?
Yeah,
did you
quite
have
a bit.
it on the show, or was it after the show?
Before the show started, we're going through where we had the 50 people out there to figure out who's going to make the show. One of the stops was to Dr. H's clinic there in Hollywood. And we went through a battery of testing, both physical and drew blood. And they do the DEXA scan, which shows what's going on in your body. And so there's a full medical workup that's done with Dr. H and his team. And so you get to know those guys really well. And Dr. H was out with us anytime we were filming, right? He was going to be out there as well. So that first workout, he's behind the scenes, and he was one of the people that pulled me out, checked my blood pressure, found out my blood pressure had dropped. And the real reason I got kicked out of the gym that day is because Dr. H said, this one's had enough. He's done. And so he was always looking out for the health of the contestants. And I felt very comfortable with Dr. Huizenga along the way, that he was out for us. And I still feel that way. I owe a lot to that guy.
Yeah, I echo the same thing. So from the jump, I think Huizenga was probably the most authentic. And I loved seeing him come across that way on the documentary. So, I think I've met everyone but JD Roth that was on that documentary, and that lady who wrote it. I don't know what that lady was. She wrote a book or something. But
did you meet Jen?
Who's that?
Did you meet Jen?
No, now I think about it, I didn't. So maybe not. But
Jen is from my season. She was an at-home contestant.
Huizenga came across really well. He always had our best at heart. He was the one that was saying, don't eat 100 calories, eat 1700.
That's right.
Eat 1700. Eat like, so
That's right.
I will tell you, he came across the way I knew him on the documentary, and I was really happy to see that. because he kind of got dragged through the mud a little bit a few years ago. And that was kind of like, you almost want to stand up and be like, ho, ho, ho. But I can only speak for my season, right? So I can only speak for an evolved season 15. I can't speak for an evolving season 7. So maybe he was a different doctor then. I don't know. But I'll tell you, in 15, he was all about our health.
Our season had 36 people sent home, and he was the head of it. And then we had the nutritionist and the psychologist, and he orchestrated every week support calls with us. I feel like we contacted him anytime we wanted to. And I can't think of one piece of advice that he gave that's unhealthy. Like everything. Exactly. So he told us to break up our workouts an hour and an hour and a half, split them. If you could get them 12 hours apart, that'd be great. The more rest in between, the better. But he did say, like, slowly move throughout the day. Don't sit down. But, in doing that, I wasn't injured and I didn't overdo it. And my body thrived on his plan. He's very scientific. It's very clear he's worked with professional athletes his whole life. And the other thing is, you can just tell he cares. Mm-hmm. You can just tell, like, he cared about the whole person. He didn't say you're obese because you're overeating. He said, you're struggling with your weight because you're lonely. And I was like, it's like he can see inside my soul. And he just met me. I really love that guy.
If you took the money aspect out of the show, I think he would have been much more effective for the contestants. But everyone was so worried about what their trainer thought and the money at the end. But I think if you took that out, he would be way more effective.
One thing people don't realize is the filming schedule. Did you guys have, was the filming schedule conducive to you getting rest?
That's all over the place. Like, there would be times where your weigh-in might start at 6 p.m. and it ends at 10 p.m. But they have to interview 15 people. I remember I had an interview call time at 2:30 a.m. one day. And it's like, right? And it's like, so what are you going to do in that time? The gym is closed because they're still filming stuff. So that was kind of tough. But there was a lot of dark days. So on the filming days, you were committed to 7 a.m. kitchen, 8 a.m. workout, 2 p.m. interview. But on the dark days, you could do whatever you want. If you wanted to sleep till noon, you could sleep till noon. And that's how you had to manage the game aspect of it, is managing your recovery and managing all that.
I forgot what question I asked, but maybe you remember, David. But I was just blown away by this super sweet message. Matt is the most inspirational spin instructor I've encountered, and learned of his time on the show in my hometown in Beverly, Mass. And I need to get back to his class. Yes, you do, Sharon.
Come on, Sharon.
I love it. I the biggest blessing that came out of this is obviously my health and my friends and my family and my relationships. But being a spin instructor, that's changed. Again, I've taught over 2,000 classes, so I've changed somebody's day at least 2,000 times.
Yeah. You are a rock star spin instructor per Nicole as well. Thank you, Nicole, for letting us know what next time I'm over in Massachusetts. Is that where you are?
That's right.
Next time I'm in Massachusetts, I'm going to have to pop in on that. But okay, I remember what it was, David. Do you recall anything weird about the call schedule and the filming? Like for our season, every weigh-in was at night, deep into the night.
The weigh-ins were late nights. We would interview until 2 a.m. or whatever. Usually we would interview as late as the, I don't know if I'm sure it was like this throughout Hollywood. You've got these people that they hire through what do you call them? The staff that they would hire, the camera people, the sound people, they all are part of this union. Like there's what is it?
Union,
yeah, like a union worker. And so they have certain hours that they can only work 12-hour days or something, and they have to have a hard lunch time and they have to have a hard finish time. Otherwise you're breaking union rules or whatever. And so we would depending on what time we started that day, we'd get a 12-hour day or whatever the number was every time. And so we would be, sometimes it was 2 p.m. is when we had to be downstairs dressed, ready for sound and wardrobe and all these people to come in and do their things. And then we go start filming, and then we have to do interviews, and there's like 4 or 5 places around the ranch that they're doing interviews. And it's like, it's kind of crazy that you go to bed at 3 a.m. sometimes because of that. We even had a few of the challenges that were shot at night. I remember our Halloween challenge was a nighttime pumpkin patch, and we didn't get done with those interviews until really late. But like, and so it's not conducive to rest, and it's really not conducive to your workout schedule. But the difference between the people who made it further than the people who didn't, in my opinion, is what you did with those times. And did you make excuses and just go rest in between all that stuff? Or did you get up and walk and do things? I remember the Halloween challenge in particular. We shot that at night, get done at around 10, 11 o'clock at night. And that's when they start the interviews. And the challenge was we run out into the pumpkin patch, and in these little pumpkins was either a bonus or a treat or a trick, right? The treat you had to eat was like a little 100-calorie like candy bar or whatever. You're right. So that was the trick or whatever. The treat would be if you won the 2-pound advantage on the scale for your team that week. But there was like 1 out of every 100 when you run out there. Well, I decided I was going to go out there and try and save it for the red team. And I went out and I ran like time after time after time. Everybody starts dropping out and saying, I'm not doing anymore, but I kept going. And I remember making a decision at that time. I'm going to do, before I hit my head on the pillow tonight, whatever I eat here, trying to save my red team, I'm going to go work out before I go to bed that night. And I remember 11 p.m., I'm in the gym on the stair climber, and I have to burn off like 600 calories before I go to bed. And so that's the mentality you've got to have to be able to make it far in that show.
Wow. That is intense. Because Adrian today would say, your body needs rest. You will go into fat storage mode if you continue to stress your body out like this. Oh, that is intense. Right. Matt, the chat is going crazy for you in your spin class. I mean, Matt's classes are called spin therapy, which bikes are better, or the treadmills. They're coming up with, that sounds like a great name. Maybe I should buy a spin bike. You got people into this. So keep doing what you're doing, because you got some fans in here and everybody's loving it. And David, absolutely better get on that. There's nothing better than having a coach that actually gets it. So when they say something, they're saying it knowing what you've been through and what you're about to go through. So I absolutely think you should do that. Okay. Do you ever wear your Biggest Loser shirts while you work out? My house got infested with mold, and it was really bad, and we all got pretty sick. So all of our belongings are packed in a storage container, and I have not seen it in years, but it's there somewhere. How about you guys? Do you still have your shirts?
Oh yeah, I got a closet full of stuff. I got something right over there I could pull out.
Yeah, I don't wear mine. They're kind of like icons for me now, right? So I don't want to ruin them. And I'm afraid that they fit. So like I'm afraid to put it on and be like, well, it still fits. But, but I still have them. They're in my closet, and I thought I had one framed, but I don't. But I love, like, that stuff is just like, it's like a photo album to me. So I still have it. I love it.
The only time I wore it, I would wear the Biggest Loser stuff when I got invited to go. Like, I helped marshal a race here in Oklahoma. And so I did a half marathon in my Biggest Loser shirt, one of the jerseys, that kind of thing. And so I would wear it more like then, but I haven't worn them in probably 10 years. I don't know, 8 or 10 years.
Yeah. I think if I was going to do like an event, if the Biggest Loser Roma came back, I would do it. But the only time I wore it for like an official thing was in the first time I ran the Boston Marathon. I wore it, and that was just like for me. But other than that, no, it's pretty much like a I don't know what I'm thinking, like a crux for me. Like it's like a religious item.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the Biggest Loser Run Walk series was that they put the logo on everything, and that was pretty cool to get that stuff. We have another question. Okay, caffeine pill time. What the heck is going on here? Who gave you caffeine pills? Do you think it was all a controversy to get Ruben back on to get more views? What do you got? What happened with these caffeine pills? Did you do drugs? Matt, he always wants you to go first.
Do I think it was a thing to get Ruben back on? I don't know. I certainly hope not. You know, now learning that caffeine pills were more and more part of the whole thing before our season made me realize that maybe they were just trying to use that to get Ruben back on. No disrespect to Ruben. He was a good dude. He was a competitor. But I think that they were just looking for, I don't know. I mean, Ruben got a chance to come back later. Like they knew they were going to bring everybody back and weigh in again at some point. So I like to think that it wasn't to do that. But I don't know. I wasn't in the room when that decision was made. But I was shocked when he came back in, when they were like, hey, Ruben's coming back. And I was like, another person in the house?
Yeah. For entertainment purposes only, I have no foreknowledge. I will tell you that there's two separate events going on. The caffeine issue was its own issue. I think what happened was that was going on and they found out about it and had to deal with that, which happened, right? We went into dark mode for a number of weeks while they figured out that like legally. Again, these are my opinions. Don't sue me.
You guys had dark mode?
There was a lot going on. Yeah, we did. We went in dark mode for about 2 weeks while they were figuring all of that stuff out. There were
no communication with trainers.
Nope. We were being So there was a whole big thing going on, and we were trying to figure out what was going on, and we're hearing little snippets from production assistants and different people, and so we're hearing some stuff. And we hear some stuff from the team that was affected, from some of those contestants. And so I know the story about how it all came to light and why it was a big deal. And I think because they were dealing with that, they saw an opportunity. How do we turn lemons into lemonade? And again, we're the product. We need reality TV shock factor. Let's bring back the biggest contestant on the show, Ruben Studdard, everybody knows and loves. And here's our opportunity to do so. So I think they did both. I think they accomplished both. I don't think Ruben would have come back without the caffeine controversy because he was sent home legally. He fell below the line or whatever. And so he went home. But I think they made lemons out of lemonade. They made lemonade out of lemons. So
those things had to happen at the same time. So
yes.
And I'll tell you, in real time, they did happen at the same time. It wasn't like the caffeine pills happened here and then 3 weeks later it all literally happened in a matter of a couple days. So do I think production had a reason? Yeah, I think they had a reason to work it in.
I think the whole thing is so stupid. There's so much more effective tools. Like, had they been slipping you some peptides and one team had peptides and the other teams didn't, now that's a controversy. A little ipamorelin, a little tesamorelin, a little AOD 9604. I mean, there's so many more effective things than caffeine. It's laughable.
When they explained it to us, I think part of what they explained was the controversy was that only her team got access to the pills. My team and David's team didn't. Had she given us the pills, we wouldn't have had a problem. Like they wouldn't have had an issue. But it was because we didn't have access. Because I think if you were on your season, it might have been the same way. But you go into the athletic room, and every medicine and every pill is there, and calcium or sodium bicarb or glucosamine. And whatever your trainer tells you to take, you take. Calm, right? So whatever they tell you to take, you take. Now, that wasn't there. Had that been in the room available for me, that wouldn't have, I don't think it would have blown up the way it was supposed to. It did.
Right.
Wow, you guys have like a whole bunch of supplements? Wow, the show got so much more really evolved. I remember Kim was giving some vitamin packets because we had Kim Lyons. She was giving some vitamin packets to her girls, but I never got any vitamins. I don't recall a single vitamin. And I remember I was having night cramps. And so I messaged the doctor and I'm like, my legs hurt so bad at night. And I Charlie horses. I don't think they gave me anything for it that I can recall. But hey, maybe Dr. H has an email somewhere. So I don't know. I swear I think it was just very basic when it was season 3. It was, you've got food, you've got water, and you've got exercise. And that's it. And so that's so interesting. Okay. We're almost out of time, you guys. I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, everybody who's watching, if you want to slip that last question in, you better get it in quick. Put a QQQ or question in front of it so I can get it. And then if you could do us all the favor of just liking this, sharing it to anyone you can, we greatly appreciate it, as I have dozens of Biggest Loser alumni who are excited to come on. We're going to have to switch up the date because Friday night's a hot night, as everybody knows. Everybody's out on some hot dates or they're at sports. So more to come, date change in the future. But let's see here. I already put it up. Were the trainer scream, was that real or was that staged? Did they scream at you when the cameras weren't there? I'm going to add to that question. Real or staged?
Well, the trainers were only there when the cameras were there. So, I mean, I think Bob,
that's right,
the whole time I was there, Bob showed up one time off camera. In fact, Jillian showed up off camera more times. I worked out with Jillian off camera more than Bob on camera. Yeah. Because she was cool. She would let anybody work out with her. But when they screened, Bob was legit. And I'll tell you, for me, it was effective. When Bob was like, let's go, Matt, that was effective. That's what I needed. And I actually carry that into my spin. I never dog anybody, but I'm your cheerleader. And he was just a cheerleader.
Yeah. Same with Dolvet. Dolvet was encouraging, cheerleader. And he was doing the work that I needed. He was the perfect trainer for me. I needed somebody to build me up, reframe what I was thinking about myself. And he did that. I think Jillian's approach is different. I saw her tear people down so that she could build them back up again in a moment. And so I think that was her strategy. And again, she was on from the very first season. So she had this persona she had to live up to. And it's like by season 15, you got to outdo your own self from season 1, right? It's like, I've got to be the next level too. And so she had that persona she had to play out off camera. So sweet, so supportive, so great. We had this awesome banter back and forth all the time. And so, some of it was for camera and the persona and the show moments that needed to be made. But good people at the end of the day, good people here to help us.
I on what you just said about Jillian, I think she's America's toughest trainer. Off camera, she was authentic. She was legit. She would tell you to have your vitamin A and your vitamin D together, and then later on in the day eat. She knew her science. She wasn't just a trainer. She's researched. And I almost didn't go on the show because I thought Jillian was just not a cool person. She is completely authentic.
Yeah.
I have never met Jillian. It is on my vision board that I will get to meet her one day. I did get to meet Bob. He wasn't very friendly, but in retrospect, he's a very competitive guy. So he didn't talk to me because I was losing so much weight under Dr. H's plan. And those two, they don't like each other. Apparently in real life, they don't like each other. I think Dr. H probably likes Bob, but I don't think Bob likes Dr. H. I did see some just very nice people. And Yeah, it would be really cool. So Jillian, if you're watching this, you know where to contact me, Adrian at radicallyhealthy.com. Let's hook up. Not like for real, but like speaking. Oh, okay. We have another awesome comment here. Matt is an incredible life coach and spin instructor. Everyone would benefit from his guidance. Matt, they love you. I love this. Okay. So the final question of the night, and I like to end this every time. Actually, before I do that, I want to say, you guys, tonight our outro is to honor Hap from your season who has passed away. But I just want to say, in case anybody hasn't looked it up, Hap did not die of obesity. In fact, he appeared to be living his best life. He died scootering and he hit his head. And so we have lost people. I think I have a list here. I think it's at least 10 people have passed away, but sometimes passing away has nothing to do with obesity. And also, I don't believe that anybody passed away from being on this show. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but I feel like the show, even though it did hurt my metabolism on a temporary basis, I think in the long run, it told me I can take action, which made me a healthier person. I have another question after this one. Do you guys think that the show made you a healthier person, or do you think that it was harmful to your body?
I think in my mindset and my understanding of health, yes. But I do think that the metabolism thing in the study, I agree. I think I'm on the side that it messed me up. I have one of those scales that tells you BMR, your resting rate, and a couple years ago it was 1,700, which is like a 150-pound woman. In the last few years, I think maybe because I've started my training with Ragnar and stuff, I'm now at about 1950, which is, 1950 is still really low for a guy my size. But yeah, I think it's changed my health aspect, but I do think it damaged my internal part. But I did that.
For sure.
I ate no calories and burned 6,000. Like, I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's an or, I think it's an and. I think it's both. I think I learned a lot of things for my health. I think I learned a lot of things for my mental health, what I was capable of, and it destroyed my body. I think it's both. It definitely has affected my metabolism. It is the hardest thing to lose weight for me. I'm in my 50s now, and so it's the hardest thing in the world to lose weight. I work out all the time. I eat well 90% of the time, and it still comes off very, very slowly. And so my resting metabolic rate, I started the show, I was like 2,700 or something was my resting metabolic rate. And for anybody who doesn't know, if you did nothing, your body would burn a certain amount of calories just living, breathing. And so that's what resting metabolic rate is. And so my resting metabolic rate now is more like 1,000 to 1,200, somewhere in there. So it's less than half of what it was when I started the show. So that means I have to do twice as much work for the same benefit of resting metabolic rate before. And so I'm already at a deficit every time I start my day. So yeah, it's both.
Mm-hmm. I've deeply researched this as I've gained and lost this 500 pounds. And like the rats and the mice, every time we gain and lose, it slows our metabolism down further. But I have this belief, like throughout time, there was a famine. People would have a famine, but their bodies didn't just stick in famine mode for the rest of their life. So I believe we will learn at some point a way to get our bodies out and to build that back up. I think, Matt, you're doing it. I think one of the tickets is muscle. The more muscle we have, the better.
I've heard the famine thought before, and my only pushback on that is those people aren't burning 8,000 calories a day. Those people aren't working out 10 hours a day. So yeah, their food intake and metabolism is going to recover, but they're not working out for 10 hours. And I think that's the difference, in my opinion. And I'm not a scientist, but I think that's what sets the famine or the depression argument for me aside.
So you're thinking we pushed it further than people who are doing other crash diets because of how far we took it.
Well, I think when you think about the famine, right, they were eating less. but they weren't working out burning 10,000 calories or 8,000 calories. So that's why their metabolism didn't take the hit ours took. Now, anybody in an extreme situation, extreme weight loss people, right? Or other people on other shows.
Gastric bypass.
Gastric bypass. So, I mean, it's going to recover, but I think that's what sets it aside is our intentional calorie burn.
Okay, so this is how I love to end the show. I want to know what your biggest takeaway from the whole thing is. And I know you guys kind of already said it, but this is just how I love to end the show. So for me, my biggest takeaway was that anything in the world is possible. Anything in the world is possible. And also that love for me has to start with me and not other people. So those were my 2 takeaways. How about you? We'll go with Matt because that's what David loves.
He always likes me to go first. I kind of touched on it, and I think you really almost explained it for me. My takeaway is not necessarily anything is possible, but anything is going to be possible. Whether I hear people say they can't run a mile, and I like to be like, you should really add yet to the end of that sentence. I can't run a mile yet. Or if you tell people I'm running a 5K, oh, I could never run a 5K yet. So that's my mindset. I know that when I'm doing something, I'm going to be in bed at some point tonight. So as miserable this is, maybe it's running, maybe it's helping somebody move, maybe it's work sucks that day. I know at some point I'm going to be in bed. So I think it's the mindset for me that like this isn't the worst day of your life. You've survived 100% of your worst days.
How about you, David?
There's so many. There's thousands of things I learned about myself through the process. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to meet kindred people along the way and to be inspiring to others. What I think the biggest takeaway for me goes back to running that first mile on the treadmill. It's knowing that the area that you focus on is what you focus on becomes bigger in your life. And if you focus on what you can't do, then you'll always reinforce what you can't do. And the opposite is true. If you focus on what you can do, you become better at what you can do. And then before long, you can do much more than you thought. And so what you focus on becomes bigger. If you focus on your food, if you're focused on the next fast food meal, how will that serve you? But if you're focused on meal prep and focused on the right things, where will that lead you? And so where you focus becomes bigger in your field of vision, and that's the one you're going to feed. And that's if you're not happy with where you're at in life or what you're doing in life, the power is right here to change it. You just have to change your focus.
You guys are so great. Thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. And everybody who's watching, thank you again for joining us today. If you liked this, please like, subscribe, and share. And I think that's all we have for today's show. So hope you guys all have a great weekend. We hope to see you at the next episode. Have a good night. Goodbye.